Now from Sports on 6, the 402 Tip-Off.
Welcome into 402 Tip-Off. Clayton Collier, Mason Kern here with you. Mason, it's a miracle that we even got here today with all the wind outside in Omaha. It's a breezy day in Omaha.
Yeah, I'm blowing around out there. We're hoping to blow in some of the teams we're covering shots in the basket, although we're playing indoors, I know, but that's what I'm hoping for at least.
All right, there you go. Well, there's nothing taking the wind out of the sails of Nebraska men's basketball, that's for sure. Mason, how about Tuesday night out at PBA? A 90-55 win over Oregon, 35 points. 17 made threes, 7 apiece from Price Sanford, Braden Frager. I mean, it was just a complete slaughter of the Ducks there. That was an unbelievable game there. And we've seen some close contests from Nebraska, obviously, as they now improved to 17-0. Their last 4 prior to that were decided by a combined 14 points.
Right.
Michigan State, Illinois, Ohio State, Illinois. But to just see pure dominance like that again, like we saw in the Wisconsin game to open up Big Ten play, it was just impressive stuff once again from the Huskers.
Well, they wanted as many threes as they did wins, apparently, and Braden Frager and Price Sanford were the ones to carry the torch there. And we've talked about Frager quite a bit this year. It's been really impressive to see a redshirt freshman, coming off a redshirt year, step into the role that he has in some pretty big moments. I mean, not just hitting some clutch buckets here in a blowout of Oregon, but on the road, a clutch offensive rebound. Against Indiana in that 16-point comeback. And some highlight plays, too. I mean, he threw it down on Oregon when you really didn't expect it maybe in a pretty big moment in this game. So been pretty cool to see his athleticism shine and maybe get a cooler head after the Michigan State incident, growing up a little bit right before our eyes.
Hey, and not to mention Sam Hoiberg, 6 steals as well in this game.
Career high.
I mean, every opposing coach at this point seems to be praising him for being a glue guy, being the hard-nosed guy. But, I mean, he was showing it here against Oregon, letting guys like Price Sanford, Braden Frager shine as we get
there's
the
that
replay
dunk,
on that dunk we were talking about. But, yeah, just unbelievable. Nebraska goes up to number 8 in the AP poll, tying their highest ever in program history, and they don't slow down. They aren't getting satisfied by all of these program first history-making accomplishments. They just keep their head down and keep working. And Fred Hoiberg was talking about it, how, he's hearing from alums talking about that, man, this is exciting. This is hard-nosed physical basketball, and it's exciting to see Nebraska reach this height. I mean, it's beyond the point of now that you're expecting them to win the program's first NCAA tournament game.
Right.
They're looking like a second weekend team. Projections have them as a 1 seed. Not all of them. Some of them have them, as a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's mid-January here, but I mean, this team looks good, looks for real, and they look every bit like a second weekend team to me right now.
And they're getting, help from everybody. You lost Connor Seaton to start the year. We've talked about that before. And against Oregon in a blowout by 35, Jamarcus Lawrence and Rink Mass, really not a net negative, but you don't really feel a big impact from them. You didn't even need them to beat another Big Ten team that historically has been very good and coached by Dana Altman, obviously Wilbur native, former Creighton coach, very good coach. Blow his team out by 35, and he's calling it embarrassing, one of the worst losses in program history after the game. And you didn't even need 2 of your best players to do it. Lawrence had 27 at Indiana and was, again, not a net negative, but really a non-factor against Oregon.
Offensively, but he was effective at pushing the pace in that game. I was really impressed with how their pace overall in that game. I think the fast break points were officially 10-0, but I mean,
felt more,
a lot more, because it was like Oregon would go down and get a bucket, and then immediately on the other end, maybe they had just set up in the half court where it wasn't quite fast break, but I mean, they were just stop and pop threes going back and forth. So,
and the hustle too. I mean, and Cale Jacobson said, I think this week, just in the lead up to their next big stretch, that like you got guys diving for loose balls in minutes that they're already blowing the team out, and Cale Jacobson's diving in the final 2 minutes of the game, already up 30. That game was over. So that's the type of team and the type of players that Fred Hoiberg has put on this program.
Yeah, he said, we have 15,000 people showing up. He's like, I'm going to dive on the floor.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. That's the kind of stuff that you like to see. Also, points off turnovers, I wanted to point out in that game, 23-4. Huskers only turned it over 6 times, had 20 assists. They forced
That'll get
16 as well. That's winning basketball as well. Now they move on to tomorrow. They're going to play Northwestern at Northwestern, a team that's 0-6 in Big Ten play. They were within 4 on Illinois, though, with 4 minutes to play. Overtime against Rutgers, 4-point loss to Ohio State. So, I mean, this is a team that can play you close, is capable of it, even though, Nebraska is obviously heavily favored, even as the team coming in on the road. But
trap game for sure. I mean, you don't want to get complacent. I mean, at the end, it feels like every video the team has put out, they've said, "Are we satisfied?" and maybe some expletives in there, but absolutely not. Is the gist of what they're saying? Not satisfied at all. So don't want to get complacent against Northwestern.
No, you don't. But especially, this is a team that will dominate in the paint. I mean, we talked about that with Oregon as well. This is a team that leads the league in offensive rebounds. I mean, Nick Martinelli is the Big Ten's leading scorer. He's got 23.8 points per game, 6.8 boards as well. He'll step out and shoot it as well, which you don't always expect from a dominant big. 52% on 42 attempts this year. So, I mean, he picks his spots. He makes his spots. Both him and Arrington Page, they do the bulk of the scoring inside. They're both over 50% shooters from the floor. But as a team, Northwestern, not really a big three-point shooting team. Not a great rebounding team as well. So this is an opportunity, even though they have those imposing bigs, this is an opportunity to crash the boards, force them to take three-pointers, and they should be going 18-0.
And Nebraska will allow them to shoot threes. I mean, that's pretty much the philosophy of the defense is stack the middle, protect the paint, maybe not give them open looks, but force the kickouts and then contest the shots. And I think Nebraska's in the top 10 of allowing opponents to shoot three-pointers in the country right now. And they're not making them at a super effective clip. So they're going to allow teams to shoot the three ball, and then they contest those jumpers as well.
And Nebraska's all about not looking too far ahead, but I'll look a little bit far ahead here. You got Northwestern, you got Washington, you got Minnesota. You got 3 winnable games before you go up against Michigan. I think this team's 20-0 going in, to Ann Arbor here, because they've just been impressive. They've kept their head down, as you mentioned. This is a little bit of a potential trap game, but they've showed maturity all season long. Another opportunity to prove it, but I'm believing that they're 20-0 going in against Michigan.
They're an older team, so they're riding the wave of the Big Ten, but not really riding a wave. They're pretty neutral, like just take it game by game, and can definitely see them being undefeated at Michigan. Thought maybe it would be undefeated against undefeated, but Wisconsin beat Michigan, and Nebraska beat Wisconsin by 30. So you just really never know in the Big Ten where they're going to stumble along the way. I mean, you can lose on any given night, but again, an older team looks like they're going to be undefeated at Michigan.
That's a 3 o'clock tip tomorrow in Evanston, Illinois. We move on to Creighton men's basketball. They play Providence this afternoon, a 5:30 p.m. tip-off in Rhode Island. The Jays coming off of a nail-biter of a win. Austin Swartz playing hero big time. 33 points, 8 made threes, had the game-tying shot with 19 seconds to go. They get the fortunate call from the Hoyas' would-be game-winning shot, gets pulled back, and then Swartz eventually hits the game winner in overtime as well. But some positives and some not so positives from that game.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Swartz, big positive, the Miami transfer. We've talked about him, at length. Started the year on the scout team. Really, maybe not as bought into the system or just kind of trying to figure things out, and now has really come alive, especially in Big East play. I mean, he willed Creighton to this win. Hit a big off one leg jumper at the end of the game to give him the lead, and then they hold. And Providence maybe expose some of the front court issues where we still haven't seen a lot of Owen Freeman. I think he only played 6 minutes in this game against Providence, and playing smaller with Jason Green in the front court got exposed a little bit there, but they were able to find a way to win, and in the Big East, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and Georgetown was +8 on the glass. They won the paint points 50-28, just 7 made threes. Georgetown is not a three-point shooting team, so there was some concerning elements there where they just got beat down low overall in this one, and second chance points as well. Georgetown won that 17-8. So there was some spots there that Creighton did not look great. Eventually, they managed to get it done. But going up against Providence is going to be a different challenge today. I mean, this is a team that's lost 3 straight, the Friars, but they are the #1 scoring offense in the Big East. I almost said Big Ten. Big East, 88 points a game. But on the other end, on the defense, they give up a Big East worst 85 points a game. So, I mean, this is a team that runs and guns. So Creighton's got to be ready for a full-court game. Control the pace. That's going to be a huge one against this team. And like I said, they're 1-5 in Big East play, but they're a team that, took UConn to overtime. They beat St. John's. They're very capable of playing some of the best teams in this league.
Well, and that's what I was going to mention. I mean, that one conference win is against St. John's, who Rick Pitino called that after they beat Creighton, not a good loss, pretty bad loss for them. That's how their feeling was about it. But they're capable of taking the top teams in the conference to the depths and overcoming the odds and winning. And St. John's, I mean, when they came to Creighton, they won by, 17? And that was a game that didn't really ever feel particularly close, and that was a home loss for Creighton. So, you don't want to overlook Providence. They can take the best teams in the league toe-to-toe.
That they can. As you said, 5:30 tip-off today. We'll have highlights later on First Alert 6. We go to Omaha men's basketball. They're playing Oral Roberts tomorrow night. The Mavs coming off a 78-76 home loss to the Bison. They led by 12 at halftime in that game, Mason. Bison shot 70% from the floor in the second half en route to that win. Now, Omaha did a lot of things right in that game. The defense just really broke down in the second half on that one.
And really, that's what happened on the game-losing play as well. I mean, you have Tony Osborne coming down the floor, hits kind of a circus three to tie the game. You have the momentum, take a timeout, and then you come out and they're on their own baseline and they drive the length of the floor in under, it was about 6 seconds. They get behind the defense. There was a little trip for Grant Stubblefield maybe in there to let his defender get free, but then the 7-footer Christian Richardson kind of gets beat, and it's a layup to win the game. So defensive breakdown a little bit there, and if you're going to win games in the Summit League, those are things you got to clean up, especially in crunch time.
So we'll see if they can do it against Oral Roberts tomorrow.
Big win, though, should mention over North Dakota. I mean, North Dakota was a team that had taken Nebraska, at least in the beginning of their game earlier this year. It was pretty competitive, and Omaha looked really good throughout that game. I was there for most of it, at least the whole first half. Tony Osborne hit 1,000 career points, and They won that game by 11, so maybe a team that you wouldn't expect Omaha to beat by double digits in the Summit League. They've shown that they can do it at times this year.
That they have. We'll see if they can do it again tomorrow. We turn to women's basketball. Nebraska women's basketball for the fourth time in the last 6 games. They play a ranked opponent for the fourth time in the last 6 games. They come up just short. This one went down to the wire. Britt Prince hit a shot with 48 seconds to go to take the lead, 71-69, but Michigan State answers back with 4 straight free throws to take this one. Mason, as we talked about, a lot of tough competition. You're talking about Michigan State. You're talking about UCLA, USC, a lot of these really talented teams, Iowa as well for Nebraska. Yeah. But all of a sudden you look at the record, 3-4 in Big Ten play. That's surprising after a team that was undefeated going into conference.
Yeah, I mean, all of them obviously ranked losses. The Big Ten has a lot of really top-tier teams. If you're going to get over the hump, though, and get a win, against some of those programs, you can't turn the ball over as much as Nebraska did, at least against Michigan State. I mean, 22 turnovers, not going to cut it against a top 15 opponent. I mean, they capitalized on some mistakes. Really a heartbreaker there at the end, though, to lose in the fashion they did. But some bright spots still. I mean, it's still a relatively young team. They're growing as the year goes on. Really hot start, and I think you learn the most from your losses, and they've all come against top programs. I mean, they've handled their business in every game that they should have, and really maybe should have beaten a couple of these teams that were ranked higher than them. I mean, you see Michigan State pretty elated to come out with a win over this game, or win in this game when they were 9 spots ahead of Nebraska. So in order to really get over the hump, though, you got to clean up the turnovers.
That you do. Nebraska just drops with the loss to 18th in the net rankings, and Michigan State was 8th. So, yeah. I mean, we're not talking
elite.
About, they're not playing Southwest Alaska State out here. Right. They're playing a lot of really quality teams. No disrespect to Southwest Alaska.
Oh, of course. No. Yeah, absolutely not.
We move on to Creighton women's basketball. They are also out in Providence. They play tomorrow at noon. The Jays coming off of a lopsided loss, as has anybody that has played the top-ranked UConn. Mason, you were out at that game, 95-54, the final in that one. But it's really awesome nonetheless to see when UConn comes to town that now they are downtown at CHI Health Center. This matchup between Creighton and UConn used to be over at DJ Sokol Arena, and it was a hot ticket then. It's still a hot ticket now, but now more space, more seats to be able to enjoy that moment.
Yeah, and I mean, the pink out was a big success. I mean, even UConn fans who came out seemed like they were participating in it too, and they have the moment of silence. Everyone writes who's been impacted by cancer on a little sign, and they hold it up. It's a really special moment there for both fan bases. I will say Creighton gave UConn some trouble early in the first quarter, a lot of movement. Gino Oriyama said, when you play a team that's basically brand new, and Creighton's been the same team the last 3-ish years with the same players and high impact players, but when you play a team that's basically brand new, it's relatively hard to scout just because they're going to mix up their looks, and Creighton did that really effectively early on. They were cutting, they were moving, they were given some early fits, but UConn came out and outscored them 33-7 in that second quarter. So, the adjustments from Gino Auriemma and staff are pretty elite. And Sarah Strong is a tough cover. She had 18 points in limited minutes and looked like the most dominant player in the country out there as a sophomore. So some growing pains. Ava Zedeker, bright spot in the second half. She finished with 23, young freshman class growing right before our eyes. And Gino said after the game, he's like, this is a Creighton team that will be very good one day. Like, he said it himself. He's like, this is a team that's very young. They're not maybe experienced enough to hit the open looks that they're getting. It's going to be a team that could be a problem, one day in the Big East.
Yeah, and you look at it 95-54, you say, oh, geez, they really took it to them. But that's been the average for UConn throughout this season. I think we talked about it last week. Their average win in Big East play is 40 points. So it was pretty much pedestrian for what they've expected throughout the year. And also, this is a similar story to what happened last year with Creighton and UConn when it was Paige Beckers in town. Creighton played them close for most of the first half. Then finally, UConn's top scorers, most talented players really got going late in that second quarter, early third quarter, and it was off to the races.
And, and this year it's Sarah Strong and AZ Fudd, and both of them didn't really even play much of the second half, or at least the fourth quarter. But interesting for me, at least, to see the contingent of UConn fans that did come out. I mean, UConn's fan base travels well. UCLA's fan base traveled well for the Nebraska women's game against them. And fans are taking pictures with, women who are probably going to be high WNBA draft picks when it's their time. So cool to see that and the impact they're having on young girls, especially in Omaha at CHI.
Similar environment out there at PBA last Sunday for Nebraska, UCLA, seeing Kiki Rice, Lauren Betts out there as well.
Yeah, really cool.
It was a really cool doubleheader of women's basketball last Sunday.
High-level women's basketball, that's for sure.
All around. Omaha women's basketball will play tomorrow against Oral Roberts. Some
synergy in the schedules here, huh?
Yeah, right. Some saving on the travel, get everybody on the same plane, hopefully. You have Omaha at Oral Roberts. That's Saturday at 2 p.m. as the Mavs still looking for that first win in Summit League play. Played well yesterday against the Tommies. It was only a 7-point deficit at halftime, Mason, but ultimately St. Thomas made their move there in the third quarter, ended up with, I believe it was 81-68 was the final there. So you see continued improvement from Omaha, and they're going to get that first Summit League win at some point. We'll see if it's on the road against Oral Roberts.
Yeah, against St. Thomas, 4 players scoring double figures. Again, they've had the injury bug this year. They've had to kind of add from an open tryout. 2 players joined the team. And again, building year under Jamie Carey, maybe some confidence building, just given the fact that it was a more competitive conference game when some of your more recent outings were larger point spreads, obviously. So you take that and you build on it moving further along in Summit League play.
See if they can do it tomorrow. That about does it for 402 Tip-Off. For Mason Kern, I'm Clayton Collier. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the air tonight.